Hi, y'all. Hey, a book review and a recommendation for future SHTF if we ever run into it. Very good book. It's not listed as a prepper book or even a survivalist book, but it is a prepper and survivalist book. Let's go ahead and get into it. Anyways, the name of the book is it's called the Great Starvation Experiment, and this one is advanced uncorrected proof, not for sale. And $26 in the U.S., 36 in Canada. I think I got it for $6. I'm not sure if that's what I bought it for, but it's a pretty good book. Uh, the author, the way he wrote the book, yeah, I'm gonna show you something that's cool about this book. It's a proof, right? So on the chapters, there's no page numbers, and what this book talks about. The the nice thing about the book was the author bounced around a lot. Um, he used, I think he used stream of conscience writing, where you just something sounds good, you just throw it in there. So there's a lot of different topics in there besides just the starvation experiment. And what the main character that he talks about is a PhD scientist named Ancel Keys. Ancel Keys, and the experiment was done. Let me put it back again. And this experiment was done back in, I think it was 1945. Take notes. Um, let's see. It was done just before the war ended. They thought the war was going to go on a little bit longer, but uh, talked about a lot of different subjects. It talks about uh, religion, how the mad scientists in it was written in 19, or the experiment was done around 1945, just before the World War II ended in Germany. But the whole thing behind the study was they wanted to figure out a way to rehabilitate the starving masses, and so it was a like a 10-month experiment, and the the subjects were slowly starved to death, or no, they didn't weren't starved to death, but they were slowly starved to mimic the effects of the concentration camps. Because in the concentration camps, they were starving everybody. He was feeding everybody 1,500 calories a day, roughly, and it takes 3,200 calories. There's 3,200 calories in a pound, and he was feeding them. How many minutes I got? Three. He was feeding them the test subjects, 36 test subjects, 1,500 calories a day. So I think they were losing about a half a pound a day, and they were slowly starving themselves. And what he was doing was trying to, checking their medical conditions and everything as they were slowly being starved. And it'd be an illegal experiment today, maybe. But it's a very good book. It talks about a lot of different things. It talks about religion. It talks about cannibalism. It talks about the way the Germans and the Japanese tortured their prisoners and experimented on them. It talks about all the dirty experiments our American government had done to its citizens. The experiment over there with the poor people over there in Louisiana, the syphilis experiment. talks about that, and talks about a whole bunch of other stuff also. Now, Ancel Keys, the scientist behind the experiment, he wrote a two-volume set called the Biology of Human Starvation. Right after the study, it's about 1,500 pages and two volumes, and they still sell it on Amazon as a like a Dover book, but historically significant book. But it's $75 each book, so it's out of my price range. But they sell this book still for like $17 on Amazon, and he even talks about the draft, and there's not going to be a draft. Everyone, our government's got everybody signing up for the draft, automatically registering people for the draft, and the reason for that is because no one's signing up for it. I mean, my opinion. Everyone's well, the majority of our society has figured out that war is a racket, and the people have wised up, and they wised up in the Vietnam War. Let me go ahead and show you some status. I was able to find the book. This book has a bibliography behind it also, so it's kind of like a school book. But I was able to find the book on the draft because he talked about the Vietnam draft, and there's not going to be a draft in America. No way. After you read this book, you'll find out why. You'll understand why. But let me go ahead and give you a quick numbers why we won't have a draft. The American people have woken up to how corrupt our government is. It's a corporation. It's about money. And they woke up in the 70s. Look at this. In World War II, the draft conscientious. And let me tell you something. These people that are conscientious objectors and draft dodgers, they're smart. And these people that did this study, they were conscientious objectors. But look, a lot of these people had 4-year degrees and advanced degrees, even PhDs, lawyers, everything. They're smart. But the draft ended in June 30th, 1973. But let me give you some quick stats here because I've already gone, almost 8 minutes. In World War II, 0.15% of the people were draft dodgers or conscientious objectors. During the Vietnam War, 8.5% in 68. In 69, it was 13%, 13.5. In 70, it was 25.6. In 71, it was 42.6. In 1972, it was 57.08%. And then Nixon ended the draft on June 30th, 1973. Went to all voluntary military. And the reason for that is because the people started figuring out that war's a racket. It's all about money. And there's not going to be a draft. If it would have continued, if you look at that curve, it's a parabolic curve. It would have gone to up there, started out in World War II at 0.15%, right? Yeah, 0.15%. So if it would have followed that parabolic curve all the way up, and in the end, like today, it'd probably be 99.85% of the people would be draft dodgers or conscientious objectors. The people aren't going in. Think about that. 57% of all the people that were required to show up at the MEP station were conscientious objectors, and some of them didn't even show up. So there's not going to be a World War III draft. There's no way in hell there's going to be a World War III draft. The people aren't going to go. They'd rather just go to jail for 4 or 5 years. I mean, that's just the way it is. That Vietnam thing, when the people came back and they told their stories, and then they found out they were being used, um, it really sucks. But the American people and the children and the grandchildren and all that, they all learned. So there's a lot of cool things in the book. Let me get back to wandered off. Uh, Shoot, already 10 minutes. Wandered off the book. But you want to get this book. It's a survivalist book and it's a prepper book also. There's a lot of really good information in it. So that's the name of the book, The Great Starvation Experiment. It's sold on Amazon. Alrighty. See y'all later. Hope you get something out of that video. And it's a good book to read. A lot of information in there about various different subjects. You'll understand why cannibalism is what it is today, especially during famines. Alright. See y'all later.